joins Bishop in the shotgun. Timeout. Marshall. James Williams is hot.
You saw one of the defenders make a move, and you saw he was just mouthing off, saying, no, you can't do that from the backside. That's why I called the timeout. Want to make sure that the Buffaloes are lined up correctly for this 4th down attempt.
7:16 to play. Marshall clearly needs a stop here. Down by 11. Well, 2 more state championship games here today. Both 6A matchups in Division I and Division II. Of course, our game in 5A Division II is a rematch. You know all about the rematch in 6A Division I. 3 o'clock right here on Fox Sports Southwest. Duncanville and North Shore will run it back. Game down to a Hail Mary. North Shore with the victory last year. And remember, Duncanville's star quarterback and Texas signee, Jaquindon Jackson, out with a torn ACL. So 15-year-old freshman Chris Parson will start for Duncanville. 4th and 3. Can Marshall rise up? Bishop on the keeper. He's got the edge and the 1st down. Upended at the 17.
Well, it was student body right, or at least the Aledo Bearcat version of student body right. See all the blockers, white jerseys out there. Aiden Hayes doing a great job of keeping his balance, his feet, and maintaining that block all the way through to the bottom of the numbers. Bishop finishing it off.
You mentioned Hayes, Shea, 1st team All-State at tackle. Tim Buchanan says, hey, I've had offensive linemen go to Texas, go to Michigan. He is as good a high school offensive lineman as anybody I have ever had.
Team
1st down,
well.
McClellan. Oh, to the end zone. Touchdown, Aledo. His 2nd of the half. Bearcats can smell it now.
Well, and went to the line of scrimmage, hops out to the left, great downfield blocking again by his wide receivers. Pellegrino. 20 marks, walling off defenders, and Jace McClellan waltzes into the end zone.
And with that run, McClellan has moved beyond 200 yards on the day. It's his 3rd 200-yard game of the season. Little with the extra points. Aledo and McClellan with more separation. 45-27 over Marshall.
Has weapons on offense, but what about the defense that they're going to face? They haven't seen anything like this. The puck is dropped at center ice. We are underway.
Arguably the game of the year in the entire NBA this season thus far.
These fans are fired up.
Zone is caught. It's a touchdown.
Buy or rent today and watch anytime, anywhere on your favorite screens with DirecTV Cinema. Movies start at channel 125.
You're at the scene of the accident and the person that hit you admits fault. Yet then they go home and they talk to their insurance company and they give a 30-second statement changing their complete story. Are you sure you're ready to live with that 30 seconds for the rest of your life?
IJustGotHit.com can help. It won't cost you anything to find out how. We fight big insurance companies.
Because you deserve justice. Call 214-I-GOT-HIT or click IJustGotHit.com.
Full sports under the spotlight. Sunday on Southwest.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance game summary, and Shea Alito got off to a scorching start.
Well, he really did. And Jake Bishop having an outstanding game, finding his receiver, Money Parks. And how about the open field run and skipability? Parks again working the sideline. I mean, this guy's skill set translates to the next level, no question about it.
But Marshall with Devon Achane creeping closer in the third quarter. That made it an 11-point game. Alito punched right back.
Well, McClellan has just been too much to handle for this Buffalo's defense, and he's been too much to handle for almost any defense that he's seen in the 4-year career that he's had at Alito.
And a little windmill from McClellan, too. What a 4-year high school career it has been for Jace McClellan. All the accolades, all the numbers. Very well be a 3-time state championship game MVP on the offensive side. Jakari Strong-White on the return for Marshall. Out to the 27. James Williams and Marshall, 11 consecutive wins coming into today after their only loss to Manville in district play, a loss that they avenged in the quarterfinals with a 40-10 victory. James Williams says that game grounded us, it centered us. We always knew we could make another run back to Arlington. Here they are. And now with 6:24 to go, things look bleak. The Devon package. Achane out of the Wildcat. Steps out of a tackle and out of bounds across the 40.
You wonder how can you miss that guy? I mean, he gets stopped, it looks like a couple of times to starting to stop. He's going to follow his blocking very well there, but he just keeps moving. He's so quick and he's shifty. Fairly pedestrian looking run, and he picks up maybe 15 yards on that play.
Officially 16. It's effortless with him, right?
He makes it look that way.
Yeah. Motioning out of the backfield is Achane. Throw is behind him. Oh, can he work his magic here? Not really. Not with Luke Riley and Caden Anderson all around him. Loss of a yard. Achane with 168 yards rushing and a touchdown for Marshall. Also 5 catches, 88 yards. 2nd and 11. Hornsby, the sidestep. Extending the play. Downfield, that's caught. Javion Matthews. His 2nd grab today. This goes for 20.
Give Malik Hornsby a ton of credit for keeping his eyes downfield, but also eluding arm tackles. He gets flushed out of the pocket early. He's running sideways, horizontal. He's not trying to make a play downfield with his legs. He's trying to make one with his arms. Finally locates Javion Matthews for the first down.
Alito 38. Again, Achane motions out of the backfield. Off the pump. Hornsby eyes downfield. Find Achane, putting plenty of air underneath it, but it doesn't quite work.
Oh, I like the idea. If I could throw a punt,
yeah,
I'd give Achane an opportunity to get underneath it. But not the arm strength there from Hornsby.
Yeah.
He threw that ball
across
all
the
way
field.
across the field. He's going to get pressured out of the pocket again as he rolls out to his right, and then he gets right there at the numbers. They had an opportunity to make it work.
And how about the guy who hit Hornsby there, Aiden Hayes, the all-state offensive tackle, playing some on the defensive line here in the 4th quarter. 2nd and 10. Hornsby. Oh, a lot of room inside the 10 and spinning inside the 5. DeMarco Roberts hangs on, but Hornsby with the scramble to set up 1st and goal, 36 yards.
Well, the receivers cleared out and they were getting covered man to man, and he was able, Hornsby, to have a ton of grass on the left-hand side. See the linebackers running underneath, and good job of him stemming that out, staying inbounds. Got the Buffaloes knocking on the door.
First and goal. Achan. Touchdown. Too much pride from the M block. The Buffs are back in the end zone.
Miss.
Second touchdown run, both coming here in the second half. Achan with 17 carries for 171 yards. Ongawa. That's good. So, an 11-point game again, 4:15 remaining. James Williams certainly remembers this last year, the 5A Division II championship game right here, AT&T Stadium, Marshall and Aledo, round 1. Jace McClellan, early, a burst to the end zone. This was actually a 14-12 Aledo lead in the second quarter, and the Bearcats just got rolling. McClellan on the screen pass. Jace McClellan scoring 4 touchdowns. And Aledo ran away with a 55-19 victory, their 8th state championship. James Williams said to us this week, the hashtag for us that we're using on social media, it's all been about unfinished business. That has been the rallying cry. We have a chance to redeem ourselves this week. This has been a much better game. They have been much more competitive, but Aledo has been too much.
Well, it has been, but we asked on the call, is that, were you looking forward to getting Aledo? He goes, no. Aledo was not the target.
Right.
AT&T was
That's
the target.
State championship game.
Yep.
But again, 4:15 remaining. Edie attempts the onside kick. Oh, whistles blow. Timeout, Aledo.
Prior to the kick. Timeout, Aledo. Second charge for the second half.
And for Tim Buchanan and Aledo, what they're after, oh, it's very simple, and Coach Buck has heard about it all year long. Can they move beyond Mart, Salina, Carroll, and Katy and become the first 11-man football program in the state of Texas to win 9 state championships? Yeah, he asked Buchanan about it. He said, if our players ever brought it up this season, we downplayed it as coaches.
Yeah.
No, it's not about 9. It's about 1. It's about this year. It's about this class. It's not about 9. As Buchanan said, these seniors weren't even born when Aledo won its first in 1998. Don't think about 9. Don't think about all that history. Think about this year.
Well, and that's what you love about coaches, and certainly Coach Buck is that way. When you think about it, he's saying, listen, it doesn't matter what we've done. It matters what we're going to do. And it matters what we're going to do today, on this day.
Onside kick. Takes the high hop. It doesn't go 10 yards, and it's out of bounds.
But JoJo Earl was very close to that ball as it was bounding around, and he was trying to wait. He was just measuring it to see if it was going to make it past that 10-yard threshold.
It took that high hop at about the 8 or 9 yard mark. Let's take another look.
Yeah, very close.
Up it goes. Earl's right there. It's like, it's not at the 50.
Yep.
Don't have to touch that yet. All right, out of bounds. Great for Aledo.
Heads up play by one of your senior leaders. Nico Little also there to make sure the ball didn't cross the threshold.
So Ricky Herron talking about it with his officiating crew. But it will be a Aledo ball with 4:15 to go and a 45-34 lead.
Free kick out of bounds. Kicking team. 5-yard penalty for the dead ball spot. First down, Aledo.
You know, Ted, I'll say this about that onside kick. I've seen a lot worse.
Yeah.
I mean, that ball had some good bounce and some good hop to it.
Jace McClellan, the jack-in-the-box player of the game. 203 yards and 2 touchdowns on 22 carries.
Well, we talked about him early in the season, or early in the game, excuse me. Got that ankle tweak that was already bothering him, and he looked to be hobbled. But man, did he put up some big numbers the rest of the game? And that scoring, that third quarter long touchdown run, I think, was really the beginning of the end for Fort Bend Marshall.
And McClellan just picked up 5 more yards on first down. Yeah, that 63-yarder early in the third quarter. Now up to 208 yards on 23 carries. This was a 1-score game at the half. Aledo was up 28-20, but McClellan with that burst of 63 yards to make it a 2-score lead. That was crucial for Aledo.
And he's certainly accustomed to making those types of plays on this stage.
He's done it for 4 years now. 2nd and 5. McClellan breaks it to the outside. Inside the 30, goes down. 11 more yards for Jace McClellan, who is headed to Alabama. When you think about Aledo running backs, the first name that comes to mind is Jonathan Gray, who in his varsity career piled up more than 10,000 yards and a national record 205 touchdowns. McClellan didn't approach those numbers, but when it comes to simply winning, Gray won 3 state titles himself, 09 to 2011, but McClellan is so close to joining Gray with a 3rd state championship himself. Could very well be the offensive MVP for the 3rd time in his career. Lost 2 yards here. Jacoby Strong-White on the tackle. Very different runners too, McClellan and Gray.
Well, I think McClellan has, I'm going to say more height, and I'm going to say more mass than Jonathan Gray. I mean, Jonathan Gray was a very shifty, darting type of a runner, and McClellan's kind of got that more of a downhill lean and edge. Both guys obviously wildly successful at the high school level.
Back to 2016 when McClellan was in 9th grade. He was the offensive MVP in the state championship game against Cal Allen. Bishop on the carry. Down to the 26, gain of 4. Seymour on the tackle.
Timeout. Marshall, 2nd charge for the 2nd half.
With 2:02 to go, and McClellan remains down for Aledo. The last thing you want to see with just over 2 minutes remaining.
Well, he's up pretty quickly, so that's a good sign.
Good. That is good. McClellan's been banged up all year. Trying to free up his quarterback on this play. The block on Christian Jackson, the safety, and got knocked into from behind by Kenneth Seymour. McClellan, it's his first 200-yard game in a state championship. Last year against Marshall, he went for 149 and 3 touchdowns. Also had the touchdown on the screen pass he saw. And how about that little massage on the lower back? Can we get one of those?
Well, I don't think we rate as high as Jace McClellan in this stadium.
Star Wars was just released, but my gosh, is Jace McClellan a droid? Just got to make sure everything is working there underneath the hood. Numbers he puts up. Certainly video game-like.
It was good to hear that you said that there's a first for him.
Yeah.
In today's game. I mean, that's
his final high school game. It's about time.
Quite
right?
a feat. Yeah.
JoJo Earl out of the Wildcat on 3rd and 8. Is inside the 25. Nowhere close to the first down. Gain of about 3. And it's 4th down.
Marshall, 3rd and final charge timeout of regulation.
Well, Marshall's going to play this out. Timeout with 1:47 to go. 4th and 5 coming up for Alito. Well, we mentioned Jonathan Gray. Go back to the 2010 4A Division II state championship game against Lamar. Jonathan Gray, a record 325 yards and 8 touchdowns. Yes, 8 of them. That gave him 59 on the year, breaking the record of the Sugarland Express. Ken Hall, Alito won at 69-34. And that was Gray's junior season, by the way.
Just a phenomenal. I mean, to think, like you hear this comment a lot, like there's only one Herschel Walker, one
Right.
Bo Jackson in a lifetime. So at the high school level, you'd think it would even be less than one.
Right.
To have that type of a dominant player and runner setting national records, not just records in your district or in your state, but national records. So Jonathan Gray, and then the embarrassment of riches for Alito. They have Jace McClellan for 4 years.
And Tim Buchanan said he was so honored that he could be McClellan's head coach for his senior season. Buchanan returning after 5 years as the athletic director. 4th and 5, Alito going for it. Earl out of the Wildcat, the pitch to Parks, and Parks is stopped. See Blair there for Fort Bend. Marshall, turnover on downs with 1:44 to go. Malik Hornsby and Devon Achan come back out for what could very well be the final time in their high school careers. Achan knows where he's headed, signed with Texas A&M on Wednesday. Hornsby still has a decision to make. Ranked as a top 10 dual threat quarterback in the country. Has a plethora of offers. Hornsby, all kinds of time. With a canyon. Down close to the 40 of Alito. DeMarco Roberts, the tackle, a 32-yard scramble by Hornsby.
Obviously the clock, the biggest deterrent to this Marshall Buffalo comeback. But Malik Hornsby starts it off with a good big chunk play. He's got a big arm too, Ted. We've seen him throw the ball, but he can wing it. He can get it to the end zone from here.
Yeah, down 2 scores. Got to strike quickly, and again, no timeouts for the Buffs. Goes Achan. Did he pull that in?
He did.
Yes, he did. Down inside the 10.
Little out and up. Achan lined in the slot. You see the out, there's the up, and we talked about that speed. We've been talking about it all game. And I'm not sure how that ball gets through the hands of B.J. Allen. But how about the concentration, keeping your feet in bounds by Achan? Outstanding grab.
34 yards. 1st and goal for Marshall. Hornsby, the pump, trying to slant to Achan, incomplete. Devon Achan, Shay, now 171 yards rushing and 121 receiving.
I'm looking at him right now, as most are on television. He says he's not even breaking the, he's not broke the sweat yet.
He's just getting warmed up.
Yeah. He's got almost 300 yards of offense.
57 seconds remaining. Zone right now. What? Tryon. Touchdown. This isn't over yet.
Tryon. I mean, that Hornsby threw a rocket. That was not a touch pass as he was trying to scramble around and find somebody open. He just absolutely zips it in the hands by Tryon to hang on to that pass. It was high over his head. Great job of concentration in bringing that ball down.
And now Marshall will go for 2 to make this a 3-point game. motion. For 2. Hornsby cuts it up. Alito's lead has been trimmed to 3. 49 seconds remaining. Marshall still has life.
How about that run by Hornsby? 2-point conversion. This is a lot of bodies, a lot of off-colored jerseys, a lot of your colored jerseys, but cuts it right back up. Great vision by Malik Hornsby to see that lane to get into the end zone.
Saw the onside kick earlier from Edie Mamangawa. It went 9 yards instead of 10, but it did take that high hop that you absolutely need. Can he execute now in the most critical of spots? It's James Williams. His coach says, we just call him Edie. Alito.
To the kick. Timeout. Alito. Third and final charge timeout of regulation.
So a timeout right before the kick. Well, Tim Buchanan, Alito's final timeout. Jason Llewellyn took it in for Alito.
Now that particular kick was different than the first one. It was a lot harder and it was deeper. So that timeout might help for Ben Marshall because that was clearly fielded cleanly by Llewellyn.
Tim Buchanan trying to ice the onside kicker. But Mamangawa will have a second shot at it. Cannon is loving this. Some drama now late after Alito led at 1 point in the fourth quarter, 45-27. Here we go. Into the hands of Caden Anderson. Alito's going to win it. There is a flag down. Most likely against Marshall.
Yeah, offsides. Flag on the 39-yard line.
Kicking team, number 23. 5-yard penalty from the dead ball spot. First down, Alito.
Derek Ledette got the early start. Caden Anderson, a starter at defensive end. More like a defensive back when you look at his measurables, 5'11", 190. But one of the leaders of that defense, and an enormous play on special teams here to preserve it for Alito. Jake Bishop will have to kneel it only one more time.
There's obviously a lot of celebration going on now, and you think about this Fort Bend Marshall team making this a game, bringing it back into their scope where if they could field an onside kick, they've got a shot. It seemed like Alito had it on cruise control in the second half, and the Buffaloes shut that lead down, narrowed it down to 3.
Let's kneel down from Jake Bishop. And in Tim Buchanan's return to the sideline, Alito stands alone. The first UIL 11-man football program to win 9 state championships. It was James Williams congratulating Steve Wood on a state championship. This year, Tim Buchanan. Alito goes back-to-back. They beat Marshall in the state title game for a second straight year. 45-42, the final score. Send it down to Lauren Blackwell with Alito coach Tim Buchanan.
Thanks, Shay. Coach Buck, when we talked to you earlier this week, we asked you what would 9 state championships mean to this program. You had very few words, but you said, ask me again when it happens. Here we are, Coach. 9 titles. What does this mean to you?
Well, it's hard to say. I don't know. It's great. That's all I can say. It's great.
Jace McClellan, such an incredible talent as he wraps up his career. Could you describe his last 4 years as a Bearcat?
He's the most fierce competitor I've ever been around. That kid's been hurt for the last, all season. And he's played, he's asked to play defense. He'll play offense. He'll do whatever you ask him to do.
You mentioned when you returned your first day back on the job, that's when you realized how much you truly missed it. But here you are now celebrating another championship. How happy are you today?
Well, thankful to our school board and Dr. Bone and Steve Wood for letting me do it.
Absolutely. Coach, congratulations. Go celebrate this one with your team.
Thank you.
Let's head on over to Jason Spells, standing by with Jace McClellan.
Jace McClellan, you've done a lot over your last 4 years at Alito, but this was the first time you ever had a 200-yard rushing performance in the state championship game. What was it like on the field? I know you've been battling that ankle. What motivated you today?
Just keep pushing for our team. We grinded for this all year. We've been waiting to get to this spot again, just win it and make history, get that 9th.
Obviously, number 9.
That's it.
What does it mean to bring the 9th one to Alito?
It's just great. Coach Buck came back his first year with this team. He trusted us to go out there and play for him, and we just got a ring for him.
You've done a lot in that side of the Metroplex. What does it mean? This is the last time you're ever going to wear that jersey.
It's just history, I do everything for my team. I do everything for Alito. I put my life on the line for him, and that's what we did today.
Congratulations. Go enjoy this one with your team. Ted, we'll send it back up to you.
Jason, thanks so much. The 4th consecutive state championship game that McClellan has appeared in, and McClellan went off, bum, ankle, and all. 217 yards and 2 touchdowns on 25 carries. And now the moment can soak in. Tim Buchanan tried to shield his players from the talk of 9 state championships and achieving that history. Now they can celebrate it.
Line up on the sideline.
Yeah, he's still coaching.
Yeah, line up on the sideline, he said.
This man got a nice kiss from his wife and coaching again. Get on the sidelines. Let's go.
Buchanan,
what an incredible job.
He built this dynasty. That goes back to '98 when they won a 3A state championship. But now, 8 of the 9 titles have come in the last 11 years.
And how gratifying is it for him to have been away for 5 years in administration, thinking that's what he wanted to do, and figuring out that that really wasn't what he wanted to do, and now he comes back to coach and he wins the 9th title.
Down to Lauren with Alito quarterback Jake Bishop.
Thanks, Shay. Jake, you have been around this program such a long time. To end your career like this, how does it feel?
It feels great, but I couldn't have done it without my offensive line, great coaching staff, this great community. I couldn't have done it without them.
What has it been like to play with the talent that is Jace McClellan and even guys like Monty Parks?
Oh, yeah, I got talent and weapons all around me, just great dudes, and they make plays.
It is the end of the Bishop era at the quarterback position here. How would you like to be remembered at Alito High School?
As a hard worker and a team player. I don't do it for myself. I do it for my teammates, my coaches, and again, this great and awesome community.
Jake, congratulations. Go celebrate with your team.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's send it back up to Shane and Ted.
Lauren, thanks so much. Now Jake Bishop has multiple state championships like his brothers. Matt was a part of the 3-peat, 2009 to 2011. Luke won back-to-back titles with Alito in 2013 and 2014. And now Jake, after a loss as a sophomore in 2017 against College Station, goes back-to-back himself in 2018 and 2019. And Jace McClellan, go ahead and plant the flag here in Arlington.
Well, just a quick thought on Bishop, Ted, is that, all the lineage and the heritage of that and tradition that the Bishop family has had. When you have all these offensive weapons, you have to have somebody who can be the effective trigger man. And he's a little bit more than that. Again, completing 72% of his passes on the season to all those special targets and guys. But in his run game was outstanding. And Jake Bishop is a bona fide quarterback and a very good controller, or having the keys to the car with all these options.
And you think about his father as well. Lee, the offensive line coach at Aledo for many, many years. As Tim Buchanan says, he's a fierce competitor. He instilled that passion in all three of his sons. And by the way, Mom Debbie might have more passion than anybody. As Coach Buck says, if you just watch her when she's in the stands cheering on her sons. This is a special moment for the Bishop family as well. Now the honor is being handed out.
Marco Roberts, defensive MVP.
The junior corner named defensive MVP. He was honorable mention All-State this year. According to the Associated Press, one of 3 returning starters on the defense from last year. And so Roberts finishes with the defensive MVP award. Who will be the offensive MVP? Charles Breidup about to hand the award out. The announcement was just made, and coming through the crowd is Jake Bishop, who for the 2nd straight year accounted for 4 touchdowns in the state championship game against Marshall. And he takes home offensive MVP honors. Well deserved, especially the way things started. Got Aledo out to that 14-0 lead with some strikes to Parks and Earl.
Well, he did. And the downfield throw to J.J. Earl, perfect. I mean, you couldn't do it any better. Wide receiver was wide open. Oftentimes, that throw gets missed at the college level, the pro level. He dropped it right into the arms for the touchdown, and he just felt like this Aledo offense was in control the entire game. Notching up 560 yards of total offense.
Well, James Williams' offense for Fort Bend Marshall racked up 500 yards themselves, 343 rushing. You can't take anything away from what Marshall did in returning to this game. But Aledo ends up on top again. A far different game from a year ago when the Bearcats won it 55-19. They had to hang on today. But Aledo victorious again, 45-42. And you're right, Shane. Coach Buck is still out there directing traffic. Let's turn around. There's the trophy. Hoist it.
Where's the trophy? Nice.
There it is. Trophy case might very well be full at Aledo already. They can make some room.
They'll definitely make room for the record-setting title. You bet.
This picture right.
Yeah, almost like a traffic cop.
Hey, Buchanan was the AD for the previous 5 years.
Y'all don't step on Dr. Bone, dang it. Get me fired.
Team that will live forever for Aledo. 9 state championships.
Good to, there's a heck of a game coming up. 6A Division I. I get the celebration here. I was waiting for Coach Buck to get everybody lined up, backed up on this side and all the other. I thought it had a little bit of a window there.
Immortality achieved. Aledo wins its 9th state championship, 45-42 over Fort Bend Marshall. Thanks so much for joining us. For Shea Walker, Jason Spells, and Lauren Blackwell, this is Ted Emmerich. Ford Championship Live is next.
Nobody puts Santa in the bargain bin.
Oh, in a rematch. It was last year's state champion that was once again money. Money Parks putting him on the board first. And Jace McClellan, eventually the Alabama-bound running back, icing it. The Aledo Bearcats reign king once again, this time not only in 4A Division II, but in the state of Texas, as they become the second program to win a record 9 UIL state football titles, the first in 11-man football, joining Richland Springs, who reached the mountaintop Wednesday here at the 2019 UIL State Football Championships. And boy, do we have reaction to this one coming your way on Ford Championship Live with the coach, Ken Purcell, and the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, Greg Tepper. We got two teams at the top. Our first 11, man.
It's history, right? What do you say in moments like this? Aledo has reached the mountaintop. They have done something that no other program in 11-man football in Texas high school football has ever done. 9 titles. And look at who they have more titles than, Coach. You're talking about Mart, Brownwood, Southlake, Carroll, Katy. This is the who's who of Texas high school football programs, and one team stands alone. It's the Aledo Bearcats at 11-man football.
Well, we've always said it's one thing to get to the top, and they've gotten to the top years ago. The best thing they do is they stay at the top. You're able to stay there. You have that target on your chest from now on. You're the Aledo Bearcat, but they've had that target on their chest for year after year after year, and they continue to produce.
Tim Buchanan, certainly happy he came back to coach on these sidelines. We'll get into that as we bring you our Texas Farm Bureau Insurance game summary. The Bearcats and the Buffs in a rematch of last year's title game, and Aledo looking for its 9th, as we mentioned. That would tie Richland Springs. And on the opening drive, what sort of tone would they set? Well, whatever it was money, Tep.
Money Parks making a man miss, getting into the end zone. That speed kills, and he has plenty of it.
Jukes turning on the Jets. Money Parks in. Bearcats up 7-0. On the next Aledo possession, Bishop finding a wide open JoJo who would go, Coach.
Blown coverage, but you got a great young quarterback, Bishop, that picks it up.
4 grabs for 107 for JoJo. The Buffs would respond, though. Malik Hornsby avoiding the rush, getting it to Devon Achan, the Olympic track speed, throwing it right back.
And that's the difference for Malik Hornsby in this game. Last year, he probably would have taken off and run with it. He hung in the pocket, found his open man, and got a big gain.
2 plays later, Hornsby faking it, this time doing it himself. So a big response, Coach, from the Buffs.
Great athlete. They're hanging in there.
14-7 Aledo in the second quarter. Marshall going for it on 4th and 4. Brandon Tryon running it in. Now, they would miss the extra point, but Marshall in this, Tep.
Yeah, absolutely. Able to get out to the edge and set the edge. That's something they weren't able to do last year.
And why wouldn't you go back to Money Parks with him getting you on the board first and staying in there, Coach? Nice little footwork there.
This drive was 1 minute and 3 seconds. It was something else.
On the ensuing Marshall possession, now here's what we got to look over. After the Buffs converted another big 4th down, Hornsby would sneak it in, but the play was reviewed. Take another look. Hornsby just able to get the rock across the goal line. Marshall down 21-20. On the ensuing Aledo possession, guys, though, Bishop would find Parks once again. What were you thinking in this moment, Tab?
Jake Bishop is out here dropping dimes out there. That is a perfect throw, and what a difference a couple of years makes. Against College Station, not sharp. Tonight, razor sharp.
Bishop wanted to get in on the action himself, too, Coach.
Well, he can do it all. He's just an outstanding young man.
In the third, it is Jace McClellan time. Bama bound, but for now, breaking through tackles. It's a 63-yarder.
Isn't it nice when you can just hand it off to one of the best running backs in the nation? That's a nice trick for Aledo to have, and McClellan helped break this game open.
3 rings for him. Would it be Achan? Not so fast. 17-yarder, 292 total yards for Devon. 2 touchdowns. Marshall still very much in this one at this point in time.
Absolutely, but then Jace McClellan and that offensive line started to cook, and at that point, it felt like Marshall was going to need a big defensive stop.
Under a minute to go. Marshall down 45-34. Hornsby buying time. Wide open try-on for the 8-yard touchdown. The 2-point conversion was good. So Buffs down 45-42 on the ensuing onside kick try. Caden Anderson says, I'm going to keep that for Aledo, Coach.
That's special teams. That's what you've got to do in big games.
Alito's 9th state championship ties Richland Springs' new UIL record. Alito becoming the first 11-man football to make its way to the top of the Texas Mountain here. Unbelievable. And again, Tim Buchanan, his 6th title after taking the coaching reins from Steve Wood, who is now the athletic director. And Steve got himself a trio of titles as well. So I'd say maybe next year we'll see them both down there. I don't know.
I think they're both there now if you look closely on the sideline. What an accomplishment. If you look at the stats, though, third down was very important. 7 of 10 for Alito, and I think 1 of 9 or something like that for Marshall. However, you got to give credit to Marshall for hanging in there. They just couldn't get the stop they needed.
I think you're exactly right. And you remember last year, Alito came in, and Fort Bend Marshall, I think, was a little bit cowed by the moment. The
Sure.
stage was a little bit too big. The moment was not too big for Fort Bend Marshall in this one. They came out and played a fantastic game, and more importantly, they narrowed that gap in the trenches. Last year, it was a no contest up front, but in this one, Marshall played pretty well up front, but Alito is one of the very best teams in the state in the trenches, and that is the big difference. That's why they win titles. Having great playmakers like JoJo Earl and Jace McClellan and Jake Bishop, that's awesome. But if you don't have those big hog mollies up front, it doesn't matter. And that offensive line paved the way to title number 9.
And Jace was the first to credit the big hog mollies up front. Let's talk about the Alabama-bound running back who was a longtime Oklahoma commit, recently flipped and signed with Nick Saban and company. It is our Baylor Scott and White game diagnosis coach. How does he do it?
Well, the tremendous part of this game was the third quarter. They decided, I believe, at halftime, we're going to come out and give him the rock and let him run it. And you can see what he's doing right here. He really has the ability to take over a game.
And there was a bit of worry early on, Tep, when he got a little banged up there.
No, he's been playing hurt pretty much for 4 weeks. I mean, this guy has been a warrior throughout the course of this playoff run, and they've needed him to come through big in some close wins. Remember, against Ennis a couple of weeks ago, and then against Lubbock Cooper in the state semifinals, they needed Jace McClellan to play through some pain, and he did it again tonight, and that was an impressive performance there from the senior, going out in style. It just seemed like just yesterday we were sitting here on this stage and talking about the freshman Jace McClellan. Now he's got 3 titles to his name, and what a playmaker.
Well, still, we tip our caps to the Fort Bend Marshall Buffs, because what a game they gave us today. In fact, as we bring you our main event player comparison, you'll see Devonna Chan on the other side of it. What an effort, even in a loss, Tep. Bright future ahead for the A&M signee.
Devonna Chan is a monster out there. I mean, you can see what makes him so special. I don't have to break down the little things. You can just see the big things, Coach. That speed, that elusiveness, that quickness. He is a playmaker, and Marshall worked in a lot of different ways to get him the ball out in space, whether it's throwing him the ball, whether it's getting him out onto the edge, doing different things to get number 5 away from the crowd. And you see, Coach, you just can't teach that. That is breakaway speed.
Well, one of the things we've always said in coaching, you can't coach speed. It's just something that's there, and he undoubtedly is unbelievable.
Well, Alito, they lift their state league tying 9th state football championship. And again, they are the best 11-man football when it comes to just simply winning.
Yep. I mean, this is a results-oriented business, right? Who has the most trophies? There are 2 teams in the state that have 9 trophies. One of them joined the 9 title club on Wednesday. That was Richland Springs. The Coyotes bring home their record 9th title. And now in the 11-man ranks, it's Alito. Now, there are teams that are going to chase them, right? And Carthage joined the 7-win club yesterday. But for now, it's Alito's world, and we're living in it.
Jason Spells said Alito is money, and he's with the guy that specifically is.
Money Parks cashing in with 2 early touchdowns. What was it about you all offensively in the first half where you were clicking?
We were just trying to make plays, feed off each other, and make one play at a time. One play at a time.
I know you left Alito your junior year.
Yeah.
What does it mean to come back and win this title, the 9th for your program?
We made history. I feel like there's nothing better to be here. It's the best place to play football at.
To play this game?
Yeah.
With Jace. With Jake.
Bishop. Max. Many more. It's a great team right here.
You had a fantastic performance. Congratulations. Go enjoy this one with your teammates.
Thank you.
The future Utah Ute Maybe the Utes will make the college football playoff in the near future, getting Money Parks on board, Coach.
I got to mention one guy. One of the best coaches probably in Toledo, and people he's never mentioned. His name's Lee Bishop. He's the offensive line coach. And, oh, by the way, he's that daddy of the quarterbacks that have come through there. But I've known him for 30 years. He's one of the best offensive line coaches there is, and their offensive line is great.
It is, and they give Jake Bishop time to operate and find those guys on the outside like JoJo Earl and like Money Parks, and they make plays. You know, this is an offense that can beat you in a lot of different ways. Early on, it seemed like, boy, you know, Jace McClellan a little bit banged up, so they turned to Jake Bishop and said, you need to run a little bit more. Maybe you need to throw a little bit more than we normally would ask you. But then in the second half, they turn to Jace McClellan. When you have that kind of balance to your offense, it's really hard to stop against a really good, by the way, Fort Bend Marshall defense. That's an excellent Fort Bend Marshall defense, but Aledo really executed their game plan today.
And Jake knows that. Jake joining his brothers Luke and Matt now with at least a pair of rings. Matt, of course, got the 3-peat, but the Bishop brothers have now accounted for 7 of Aledo's 9 titles. Not bad bloodline. So the Bearcats lift their state lead, tying 9th state football championship. As up next on Ford Championship Live, we welcome a very special guest who was hoisting 6A hardware last year this time. He's on the other side.
UIL Football State Championships on Fox Sports Southwest are brought to you by your local Texas Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas. By Jack in the Box, proud sponsor of the Texas UIL Championships. By Baylor Scott & White Health, changing healthcare for the better. By Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, proud official sponsor of the UIL. And by Main Event, the most fun you can have under one roof. Main Event Entertainment. Together, we play.
Main Event, where your winter fun pass starts at just $14.99. All you can play bowling, billiards, laser tag, and more just in time for bragging rights season. Get your